Hey, what's going on, family? I hope you're doing well. As we wrap up 2023, I was thinking about okay, should I do like the best of 2023 or um, whatever, right? I see a lot of those videos, which I think are great. I think it's super fun, but I kind of wanted to do something a little different. Maybe not different because I also see people doing this, but I want to do a state of my collection as we end 2023. I think there's definitely been a lot of changes that have happened. So maybe if you refer back to my kind of state of the collection back earlier this year or at the end of 2022, you'll see there's some major changes that happened. Mainly, I got rid of a lot of knives to get the few knives that I really, really wanted. So I'm gonna go kind of start from. I'm just gonna kind of go nilly willy in terms of like the order. Okay. So the main theme for 2023 was that I wanted to really shore up my collection. I had a lot of knives. I had a lot of Spydercos, Microtechs, Chris Reeves, just a mishmash of knives that I just wanted. There was really no rhyme or reason. If I saw something I wanted, I could afford it, then I got it, right? But 2023 was a little bit different in that I really want to focus my collection on the knives that I feel like was hard to get, that I wanted, and it would take a little bit more work, a little bit more patience to get. So with that, what ended up happening, I ended up selling a bunch of knives, mainly through the Reddit forum, through Facebook, and start to collect funds, right? Because one of my personal kind of standards in terms of my hobbies, I don't want to ever dip into, our bank account, but I have my own little personal kind of knife fund that I set aside for when I sell knives, right? If I get a birthday money or Christmas money, then I'll kind of put it into that knife fund, right? So, what ended up happening, I had probably about 20 or so knives. I pared it down to 8 knives, right? So I went from like 20 knives to about less than 10. So let's bring it out here. The first one I'm gonna bring out is actually the most recent acquisition to my collection. This is a Spyderco Para 3 in the Spy 27. So it came originally with that dark blue FRN handle. I got these Applied Weapons Technology aluminum skinny scales, and this made this knife so much better. I absolutely love this kind of setup. It feels really good in the hand. I feel like it looks better. It has a smaller kind of profile. But yeah, oh my god, this knife has been oh, so good, so good. It centered up my knife like almost pretty much perfectly. When I got this knife like in a stock form, it was off centered, and that's kind of typical of kind of these FRN Spyderco versions. It seems like it's always kind of slightly off centered, but this scale mod, centered the blade right up. The action is good. The detent is on the stronger side. It was not this strong when I had it in the original kind of stock configuration. So I don't know what happened when I put these scales on. The detent got pretty hard. But I could still use it. I could still open it, fairly easily with my thumb. I could I could do a Spidey flick. So it's not a big deal. But I did notice it. So this is my most recent addition to my collection. So boom, wonderful, wonderful knife. The next one I want to bring out is something that has been really the mainstay of my collection for a long time. This is a Chris Reeve large Sabenza 21 on that beautiful Chad Nichols Raindrop Damascus. As you can see, this knife is definitely a user. I have, oh my god, this knife has been such a pleasure to EDC. It's broken in so smooth. I could flick it open just without any issues. Oh, this knife is wonderful. This thing is a very special knife to me, and it's not gonna ever leave my collection. I've gotten people who wanted it. They've offered to buy it from me, but no, this ain't going nowhere. So this is like a monument in my collection. I've had many different Chris Reeves. They've come and gone. This thing is staying. All right, the next one. Since I'm kind of on a Chris Reeve kick, this is the opposite. This is the newest kind of version of the Sabenza. This is the large Sabenza 31 in the Magna Cut. And then, so this is like the evolution of this guy, right? This thing I've had for a little while now. And yes, I mean, you know, it's no surprises. It has that Chris Reeve quality. I really love like that. The action on this is definitely still needs to break in a little bit more, but I feel like it won't be as like kind of free, kind of flicky as this guy because it has like that integrated that detent ball kind of locking interface slash detent system. So, but yeah, it's still very smooth. This is my favorite blade shape. This in single blade shape to me is the most utilitarian and useful for the cutting tasks that I do. But yeah, this thing is a beauty. I got this directly from Chris Reeve, so I ordered it with that gold hardware, and yeah, that little back spacer thing as well. This thing is an awesome knife. Their Magna Cut is just top of the line. All right, so there is my other Chris Reeve. Now I want to stay with kind of the big knives I have. So here is the Hinderer XM18 3.5 non-flipper. This came out earlier of 2023. This is to me the perfect Hinderer. I've had many different versions of the XM18. I had the 3-inch, I had the flipper, I had the slip joint, I had it in the sheep's foot, so on and so forth. But to me, this kind of the slicer grind, I believe the stonewash finish, non-flipper in the S45E, and this is a perfect Hinderer for me. I love how that non-flipper just frees that space up, and honestly, this is a lot more comfortable than the flipper version, in my opinion. There's plenty of real estate to back out like this, or if I really want to choke up, this feels so good. I feel like a Hinderer is really what set the bar in terms of having a functional finger choil that feels good in the hand and that looks really good. I feel like this knife has such a good looking profile. So there you go, boom, knife number 4. Now knife number 5 is a knife that, oh my god, I actually had. This is a Strider SJ75S, also known as a Baby Huey. Now, Strider no longer makes this. This came out about 10, 11 years ago. And so it's a little bit harder to get, but I do see it pop up from time to time in the secondary market. But in terms of like the best Strider to EDC, bar none, I think this model is the best. I think it's better than the SNG. I've had several SNGs. I think it's better than the SMF. I think it's better than the PT and everything else in between. Now they just came out with the JVA, I believe, but I think that's still better. Mainly because this thing has a beautiful hollow grind that just slices through material like nobody's business. It feels so good in the hand. This feels more comfortable than the SNGs that I've had, and I think it's really because of that really large finger choil that really locks in my 2 forward fingers, and just overall it just fits very, very well in the hand. Very natural. It doesn't feel as angular as like the SNGs. I just feel like this just fits more naturally in my medium-sized hands, right? And this thing cuts so well. And what I didn't like about the SNGs, and I think probably the SMFs as well, is that they have that weird area, like similar to here, but like stuff gets stuck in it and it just kind of like binds up while cutting. This really doesn't have that issue, right? This thing, it just doesn't really have any area to bind up material. My fingers usually right there, and I'm just slicing through materials like nobody's business. I did have I had another one of these, and I ended up selling it. and then I wanted it back, but it was just so hard to find for a long time. And finally, after I don't know, when I really wanted to start to get it, it was back in February, and I was able to get this back in August. So it took several months of just patiently waiting, and for something that would come in at a good price point. I see these go from anywhere from like 450 to about 600. All right, so this is a big price range. Unfortunately, when I got this guy, I had some real lock rock issues. I tried to fix it. I tried to tune it up. I couldn't. And, unfortunately, the seller didn't disclose to me that they had these issues. And just a caveat, guys, if you're selling knives, just be upfront about any and every issues that the knife has. Even if it might not be an issue, it's always better to be upfront about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to, like, have the buyer get the knife and then discover all the issues, right? But in this case, I discovered the issues after the fact. I sent it into Strider, and it took several months, about 4 or 5 months to get it back, but they fixed the issue, no problem. And oh man, Strider, they take care of you. It may take some time, granted, so you're gonna have to wait a little bit, but they will take care of you. They took care of me. This has been rock solid, no lock rock whatsoever. It's broken in very nice. It's buttery smooth. Oh, this knife is just one of my absolute favorites. So there you go, Strider SJ75S. Moving on, now I'm gonna get to the very kind of highest tier knives that I have in my collection. First off, I want to start off with the Brown Mini FSD. Oh my goodness, this knife is just freaking ridiculous. If you've been in this hobby for any number of months or years, you've heard about this knife. This knife is just, oh my gosh. The action is crazy awesome. The acoustics are just crazy good. This is rocking a very aggressive hollow grind with those beautiful grind lines and that fuller this knife is so good looking in my opinion. It is just very kind of plain, but just the design aesthetic is just, oh my god, it's just wonderful. Feels good in the hand. My only kind of issue with this knife was that it didn't come very sharp from factory. I mean, it's not like super dull, but it's not super sharp either. So I feel like once I sharpen it up, it's going to perform very, very well. But I was a little bit surprised that it didn't perform as well as I expected, considering how aggressive this hollow grind is. But aside from that, this knife is just crazy, so good. Gosh, man, this knife is just, oh my goodness, it's so good. Next knife, I'm gonna have to move this a little bit. Let me see, how am I gonna do this? It's gonna get a little bit crowded. I have like 2 or 3 more knives I gotta bring out. Next knife I want to bring out is the Oz Machine Roosevelt. No introductions needed. This knife has really taken the knife world by storm. I honestly, when I first saw this knife, I had no desire to get it because to me it didn't look very appealing. Like the design aesthetic kind of looked just a little bit funky to me. But I kept hearing, like most of us, how awesome this knife is and how everyone and their mothers should get this knife, which is actually really, I think it's a little bit easier to get now because I feel like they're pumping out more of these versus maybe a few months ago. It was just super hard to get, and the price markup on these were kind of crazy. But now I do see these go on the secondary for about 800 or so, which is still a little above table price, but that's the price you pay to play. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some knives out there. It's just, I mean, there's such a high demand for it. It's just, it is what it is. But I was able to get my hands on this guy, and boy, did my heart change almost instantly. And I realized, okay, I see why this knife is so highly regarded. I mean, this knife is just, oh my gosh. Like this is like a perfect EDC knife. From how comfortable it is in hand, how how it performs. This thing cuts like nobody's business. This is this is Magna Cut. Has a very thin behind the edge cutting angle. It sits very flush and slim in the pocket. Doesn't have a lot of real estate. Uh, Oh, the action is just freaking ridiculous. The snappiest D10 in action I've ever experienced. Buttery smooth. I mean, and it has a really cool kind of an innovative feature, but you might be able to see there is two detent balls actually. And so it kind of eliminates that double clutch. It feels very much like the Sharp by Design, kind of like their detent nub, or the Holt Blade Works, kind of their detent system. And so, yeah, it's just, oh my God, this knife is just ridiculous. They are coming out with an XL version of this. I'm super excited. I'm sure it's going to be crazy hard to get, and the prices on those are probably going to be a little bit crazy for a little while. But to me, this is perfect. This is about a 3-inch blade. I have plenty of real estate. If I use that 4-finger choil, even if I back it out, I could still get pretty much all 4 fingers on it. But mostly, I'm holding it like this. This is like a hand melting knife. The ergonomics on this, it doesn't look all that I mean, it looks fairly comfortable, right? But once you get it in hand, oh my God, there is just like some wizardry done to this knife. It is just such a perfectly just thought out knife. Really, Oz Machine Company really thought about us knife enthusiasts when they created this knife, because it really has almost pretty much every element that we're looking for today. Action, feel in hand, performance, top tier, materials, right? Blade steel. Blade is absolutely centered. Like they pretty much covered all the bases with this knife. This thing has just been an amazing, amazing knife. Now, the next knife is another freaking phenomenal knife. This is a Koenig Mini Aras. This is actually my second Mini Aras, because I sold my first one and I pretty much regretted it instantly. And ever since then, I was on a hunt to get another one. I was specifically looking for the M390 blade steel, because I know they do 20 CV, and they did have a very few Magna Cut. But I've had the full size Aras, and I have experience with their M390. Their M390 is just awesome, awesome, awesome. So I was able to find this on the secondary on a really decent price. Now these go on the secondary anywhere from about 625, 650 to about 700. That's what you're looking at right now. But yeah, this knife is just, oh my God, this thing has been my kind of everyday carry for the past few weeks. This has been the knife that's in my pocket during Christmas. This thing has everything and beyond what we look for in a knife today. Premium materials, perfect machining, perfect. Like, dude, there's like no machining issues. This is just like perfection. Blade center action is ridiculously smooth. Oh, and you have all those options. And now that it's broken in, the acoustics have been actually really, really great. I feel like before the acoustics were just like whatever's, but now that's broken in, it has like this beautiful kind of a ting after note. You might not be able to hear it on video, but it does. Just trust me. But yeah, this thing has this beautifully done hollow grind. It just cuts so well. Honestly, if I had to choose my one knife probably for the rest of my life, I think this would be a very, very worthy contender. This thing has been such an awesome knife. So that rounds out knife number 8. Now, I do have 2 more knives that are just, that it's been around for a long time. This is the Swiss Army. I believe this is the Tinker. Yeah, the Tinker Deluxe or the Tinker Plus or whatever. This is the Tinker that has the scissors. I think the original Tinker has it doesn't have the scissors, but I really find these scissors useful, especially for cutting my nails. Actually, it works very well for nail cutting. But you know, cutting lint, tags, you know, labels, all sorts of this. Oh, this little scissor is probably the most used tool in this Swiss Army knife. I use it more than probably the blade, to be honest. It's just so useful, you know. And if you're, you know, there's a lot of different Swiss Army knives out there, right? With a lot of different tools. The Tinker Deluxe, I think that's what it's called, has everything that I need, man. It has, you know, it has like the flat screwdriver. You know, it has like, you know, the can opener. You know, it has what else? You know, it has like the scissors that I showed. It has a small penknife and it has a large blade. It has a screwdriver. It has, I don't know this hook thing, to be honest, what it's there for, but I don't know. I think it's originally designed to kind of carry like packages or whatnot. But yeah, it has like, oh, it has a, what else? I know I'm missing one more thing here. Am I missing one more thing? Oh yeah, this guy. This thing is cool. This thing is like a leather punch type deal. I've used it to make an extra hole on my belt. This thing works very well. And then of course you got the tweezers. This is probably the second most used tool. And then of course a toothpick. Honestly, I don't use this toothpick for my teeth. It's kind of gross. I use it to pick out lint in my knives, and it works very well. So there you go. This has been a mainstay in my collection for a long time. And then lastly is my fixed blade. This is the ESEE Izula 1, or the original Izula. I've had this knife for a long time. There was a period in my knife hobby where I was really into like neck knives or like carryable, easy to carry like fixed blades, and this thing really fit the bill. I don't carry this guy as much, but this thing is so capable. As you can see, I've definitely taken this on camping trips. I used it for, you know, processing wood, food, and whatnot. And this thing is a champ. Is a champ, man. This thing is so awesome. If this thing breaks or something, I'm definitely gonna get another one. This thing is awesome. What I don't have here is also I do have another fixed blade. It's the SC3 in the broomstick handle. But that pretty much here rounds out the state of my collection as of the end of 2023. You know, it's definitely a lot less knives than what I'm used to, but I think I've been the happiest with this collection than I've ever been. You know, it has pretty much all the knives that I've ever really wanted. And I realized it's not so much, for me, it's not so much about quantity anymore. It's just more about the quality and the depth. You know, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of knives out there that I want, but I just don't have the financial means for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this could become a very expensive hobby. And so I have to be really choosy on what I bring into my collection, because if one comes in, one's got to leave, you know? So with that being said, you know, what does your collection look like? Has it gone through a lot of changes this year? You know, is there a certain kind of theme or element to your knife collecting? You know, what are kind of your knife of 2023? You know, so okay, a little bonus. If I had to choose my knife of 2023, it would definitely be the Koenig Mini Aras. This thing has, oh my, continues to impress. I love this knife so much. This knife is just fantastic. I'm going to try to get the non-flipper version of this when it's available, because I think that would be the absolute perfect configuration for this platform. You know, right now I'm just kind of confined to this grip, but with that non-flipper, it would open up this forward finger choil, and I'll be able to do that. But I'm still very much satisfied with this Mini Aras. This thing is just a perfect, just EDC. Then this is my kind of the knife of the year, the knife of 2023. All right. So with that being said, hope you have a wonderful rest of your holidays, and that this year is gonna end with joy, with peace, with laughter, with good company. You are loved, you're valued, and let's go into 2024 with a full heart. And I know this year, this coming year is going to be amazing for you. All right. So with that being said, I will see you guys soon.